Gang, hey, hi, hey, how you doing? Sean from the Good Dog. Beautiful, beautiful I was gonna say Sunday, but it is Sunday. Beautiful Sunday and sunny morning here in New Orleans. Give you a quick little panoramic view. And coming up the river. Can never get too much of that, can ya? The bridge. Any boats out there? Yeah, look at that giant. You guys see that giant boat? Look at that. Oh, and they're huge. I don't think it's gonna make it under that bridge. Anyways, wanted to talk to you guys about. Usually I write on Sundays, right? Usually I do a whole kind of Sunday, our contemplative Sunday thing, and we get into all sorts of different topics, emotionality, personal development, blah, 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 blah. But the situation is, I don't really have the time to sit down and pen a complete write-up for you guys. So we're gonna have to do it this one via video. And because I'm doing the audiobook, and I've got actually a photo shoot in an hour and a half with the TGD crew, so there's just too much going on for me to sit and write. Not that I don't love you guys, but maybe this will even be more valuable or special as a video. I wanted to talk about depression, right? And I know depression's no fun to talk about. I know, like, being in the dark hole is no fun to talk about. But the reality is, we all find ourselves there at some point. I don't know anybody who hasn't been in the rabbit hole or down the rabbit hole or hasn't struggled and battled with depression of some sort to varying degrees, some extremely intense, some lesser so, some for exceptionally long periods of time, some for just kind of like dip into it. And I was talking with a friend yesterday and trying to explain, especially from like personal experiences, for me, what I find, and I'm curious if this will be something that you guys find as being a similar experience, and that's that there's this, what do you call it? I think there's a slot machine effect, right? Depression, in a lot of ways, now, if you're clinically depressed and you're constantly dealing with depression on an ongoing basis, this is a different story. That's a different story, right? So just so I'm clear and I'm not confusing anything or belittling anything or undermining any of the challenge and devastation of what is an ongoing, constant depression battle. What I'm talking about is more the depression that I would say occurs for the majority of people that kind of ride the roller coaster of life. And for those folks, I really do think it's like, I keep forgetting what I want to call it, a one-armed bandit, which is what they are called, but slot machine. And I think in a lot of ways, life, you're pulling the slot, you're pulling the arm on it, and it comes up this or this, you might win a little bit, you might lose a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, work with me with this little analogy, right? So you're doing your thing and you're pulling the arm, and imagine that arm that you're pulling is life. And like I said, it's coming up sometimes nice, sometimes you're losing like consistently some small stuff. Whatever, this analogy is not going to be perfect, but what I want you to really get is that my personal opinion on when depression really, for the rest of us that aren't dealing with it in a ongoing basis, but the ones who get knocked off our feet by it on these occasional or in these occasional fashions, are when you pull the arm of the slot machine and you get 777s. And I don't mean 777s like you just won the lottery or you just won the jackpot. What I mean is you got 777s in a bad way, right? And so, or you could win, right? So, but we're talking about depression. So this isn't one about like, hey, I won it all. This is the one about depression. And this is the one about, I think we all can handle and push through and overcome and find answers And even if it's tough, we can struggle through and we can get by and we can find a way, and we know it's going to like ebb and flow. But when we get that 777 across the board on our slot machine, which basically means all sorts of stuff are occurring at the same time, that's when I think everybody struggles. That's when I think depression really grabs people by the throat and can become a dangerous thing, even though it's likely not going to last. But the feeling of it is so overwhelming. There's this cumulative overwhelm that happens when everything seems to strike at one time. And I think that's when most of us really struggle with depression. Like I said, some might like dance with it, regularly, daily. Some might dance with it in a more heavy fashion daily. But for most of us, I think when we really find ourselves in a bad space with depression, it's because we've hit the jackpot. And it's not the great jackpot. It's the jackpot of this went wrong, this went wrong, this went wrong, this went wrong, this went wrong. Just the whole laundry list, they all kind of lined up just perfectly. And next thing you know, you're overwhelmed. You can't see a way out. And any one of those problems on their own would be something that you could find your way around, or even a couple of them, find your way around. You're like, yeah, I've seen this before. I know how to deal with this. This sucks. It's hard. But when it all lines up at the same time, that's when it throws you for the loop. That's when people that are used to dealing with adversity and challenge and overwhelm get knocked on their ass. That's when things get bad. That's when things get dark. That's when you can find people that typically know how to manage and navigate and do a great job, all of a sudden are struggling terribly. So I just wanted to bring this up because the thought came to me yesterday as like I said, as I was talking to a friend and trying to describe a certain kind of emotional effect, and it really hit me that that's what it is. It's when depression knocks us on our ass, it's almost always not a singular event. It's a cumulative event or cumulative events that occur pretty much simultaneously. And then what ends up happening is the human animal ends up feeling overwhelmed. There's no way out. And so you can't problem solve any one of these things individually, because each one adds its own anxiety, depression, and darkness to the pot. And so trying to resolve one of the issues, there's so much anxiety involved and so much stress and so much worry and concern that you can't even handily process one at a time, because as you're thinking about that one, or how am I going to work with this, but there's this one, how am I, and there's this one, and like, why even try? And do you see where I'm going with this? It's how they work hand in hand together when problems gang up on you that end up undermining your ability to problem solve effectively. And so I don't want this to go too long, but I just want everybody to kind of wrap their heads around, if you find yourself in the space of hitting the jackpot, the depression jackpot, or you have in the past, or it might occur in the future, that you understand that it is just that. It's a jackpot that isn't necessarily going to stay. It's a jackpot that just, boom, it hits you. It's going to change, it's going to move, it's going to augment, it's going to become something different over time. But initially, it's going to knock you on your ass, and it's going to feel hopeless, and you're going to feel overwhelmed, and you're not going to feel like there's any way out. That's the typical way depression rolls. So if you find yourself in that position, if you find yourself in that space, sometimes the only thing you can do is, you can try and break it down and get real clinical and like let's problem solve one at a time. But oftentimes even that's not possible. Sometimes the only thing you can do is just keep moving forward. Just keep living. Just keep trying. Just keep moving forward. And what you'll find is, over time, some of these things will start to resolve themselves. Some of these things that were so intense will become less intense. Some of these things that you had no idea how you'd find an answer for, you find an answer for it, because the cumulative effect of this power, this overwhelm, this like knocking you on your ass has dissipated a bit. The shock and awe that comes with, oh my God, it's all happening at one time, has dissipated, and now you can actually start breaking things down and start to problem solve, because you've just made the decision to just continue, move forward, just keep going, keep going, keep going. Sometimes that's all you can do, is just keep going, knowing that as you keep going, you're going to find more peace, you're going to find more comfort. Things that were so intense are going to lose some of that intensity, and as they lose some of that intensity, you're going to find your way around it, or your way through it, or your way over it, or your way into it. So I hope this is helpful, guys. I just know it's a universal situation, it's a universal condition. We all are susceptible to it, myself included. You think everything's cool, you think everything's rolling, you know, you might have this or that problem, and then boom, you hit that jackpot, and it all lands at your feet at one point or at one time, and you feel overwhelmed, and you feel absolutely handicapped and unable to move forward or do anything. All I can suggest is to just keep moving forward. As hard as it is, no matter how dark, no matter how much you want to just pull the blankets over your head, hey, maybe one day you're allowed to pull the blankets over your head, get that quart of ice cream, turn on Game of Thrones, whatever it is, and just kind of like clock out and just let yourself be a bit of a wreck. But after that, you got to get up, and you got to just keep moving forward, and you got to trust in the process that this will not stay. Nothing ever stays. Not the good, not the bad, and not the ugly. It always changes, it always morphs. So I just wanted to reach out and share that with you guys. I think it's an incredibly important message, because I think a lot of us can get caught when we hit that jackpot, and I think that's when we lose a lot of people. I think that's when we lose a lot of people, where they take dramatic, drastic, horrific actions because the jackpot feels so overwhelming they can't find their way out. And so my encouragement to you is, if you hit the jackpot, such an ironic term, right? If you hit the jackpot of shittiness, just hang tough. Just keep moving forward. Just know everybody hits the jackpot occasionally. And one of the cool things you can do is kind of go through like YouTube videos or other things of other people, or movies or biographies of other people that have been in similar spaces where they've hit their jackpots, where things have been so horrific and they've found their way through. And like I said, I doubt that you're going to sit down and map out all your answers. Maybe you will, but typically what I find is that it needs time in order for the intensity to diminish, for you to start finding your actual problem solving skills and find your sea legs again, to where you can start moving through this stuff. So whatever you do, guys, if you hit the jackpot, don't take any drastic actions, don't take any dramatic actions, don't do anything horrifically silly that you can't take back. Just know you're in good company. Just know everybody hits the jackpot, and just know that that jackpot never, ever, ever lasts. Your job, keep moving forward until you can find your way around it, through it, over it, in it. Okay? Sean from The Good Dog. Love all you guys, and have a great Sunday. And send this message along to anybody that you might know that might be struggling, or might have hit their own jackpot, so they know that they're not alone, and that it won't last. It never does. All right? Take care. Bye.